Hare Krishna, Dhanesvara.
Hare Krishna.
Um, Today I just want to ask how you came to Krishna consciousness, and I haven't had much personal association with you, but I've known you, I think, for a while. Um, I know you as, I think you're an artist,
Bull
I've heard,
artist.
bull artist,
That,
and
that
also,
pays more than art.
and you're the guy with a contagious laugh. Yeah. Anyway,
Thank you.
so yeah, how did you find the devotees, or how did they find you?
Well, it all started when I was a young guy, just going to was living at my mum's house, and as a teenager, I was living in Sydney, northern beaches of Sydney,
Mm-hmm.
and I was going to art school, so which was in the city. So I was a bit of a health freak in those days because I was a surfer and liked to stay fit and stuff. So I was into the macrobiotic diet. So once I went down, I used to buy my supplies, my miso soup and your brown rice and stuff like that. This was in the 70s, mid 70s, early 70s maybe. So I used to go down to this health food shop in Narrabeen, North Narrabeen, and then one day I was down there, and the guy that ran the shop, obviously been to India, and he bought he had all these Indian prints, and then I was flicking through them, and then there was one of Govinda in the cows, the typical Govinda with the flute and in the cow, and the moon and the water running, and it was like, I'm looking at it thinking, wow, who's this dude? He's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So I take him home and stick him on my wall, because at that time I was heavily into drugs, intoxications,
Okay.
So I used to get really whacked out, and I sit there and I just look at this picture of Krishna in the moonlight, and I'm thinking, I got to find out who this guy is. So a couple of years went by, and then in between when I was at ISKCON, we had all our mates from our where we surf, our surf buddies. We used to rent a house in Margaret River for $7 a week. So we were seven of us. It was $1 each.
Oh wow, that's great.
We had a shared car, so we would go over there and surf all the really good waves. Because Margaret River's a really good surfing spot,
Okay.
And it was a little country place, So we used to go there numerous trips, just to drive across the Nullarbor. I've driven across the Nullarbor hundreds of times.
Wow.
Yeah, it was brutal. It broke down every time, by the way. Every car didn't make it. Anyway, so at one trip, I was surfing. I was surfing India. I actually went to India after surfing in Bali, and I was in India, and I stayed there for about 6 months, and eventually, after travelling through India, I ended up in Nepal, and I was broke. Didn't have any money left. I had nothing left, and I was working in a vegetarian restaurant there, and I had a little thing on the wall. If you like chanting and dancing and vegetarian food, come out, didn't think about Hare Krishnas, come out to this address, So I ended up, well, that sounds okay. So went out, got a bus out there, was way up in the hills,
In Nepal.
In Nepal, yeah. And went there, and this little tiny house, and then I remember going there, and there was a little tiny house with hundreds of shoes out the front, And I thought, what's going on here? It looks like it was, the house was too small for the amount of shoes. So go in, and we open up, and there's this big kirtan going, like huge Wampa Stompa kirtan.
Yeah.
And there was Banu Maharaj, and there was Jopataka was there, and Banu Maharaj was there, and there was a lot of white devotees, And after being in India, traveling around, nothing surprises us. So seeing these white guys jumping around in the pajamas, and I think I go in and I'm looking around, I'm thinking, where's the spaceship? Where's the spaceship? There's got to be a spaceship here.
Some aliens.
So they invite me in, you know, they grab me in, we all start dancing. I don't know what we're dancing about, all going crazy, you know.
Mm.
And then and they said, oh, if you'd like to go upstairs and meet the guru, you know.
Mm.
So,
Oh, wow.
so we go up these stairs, and there was this little room. The room was about, I don't know, it was no bigger than a double bed, the room, you know. Somehow all of us packed into this room, and there was a Vyasa sun there, and Jai Pataka took up three quarters of the room. And I'm sitting right in front of him, right at his feet there. He had this. He used to have these big giant wampers, you know, and he started kirtan. And my nose is about this far from the wampers. This giant kirtan, you know, blast us, you know.
Okay.
And then you know that was pretty wild. And then he started asking. He gave a little lecture, and then he asked some questions, and I had some, you know, some queries and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And and that was it. And then I came back, and then the devotees knew where I was, so I used to go out on Harinam with them in Nepal, and we, you know, give out prasad and give out books, and
Okay.
we used to go to Freak Street, which is where all the hippies were, you know, all the druggies and the hippies, you know. So and they always be joining. Why don't you join up? Why don't you join up? And then they eventually they said, oh, Japadama said, why don't you join up here in Nepal, you know? And I said, oh well, you know, I'm not going to join up. I don't know you from bar of soap, you know. Like, how can I trust you? You know what I mean? Like, just because you know, my visa's about run out, and I had $2 in my pocket, so you know what I mean. Like, so I said, no, I can't do it, you know. So so then I'm hopping on a plane, and then so they wanted to give me this Bhagavad Gita, you know, and that was a million Bhagavad Gitas in those days. They're really big.
Right.
So that was half my luggage. I had a backpack, and the Macmillan was bigger than all my luggage, you know. And they handed me, and he said, "What do you want me to do with that?" You know. And they said, "Oh, you can take it." I said, "Oh, it's no way, mate. You know, can't fit that in." And they almost got angry that I didn't take it.
No.
And they tried to give it to me. I said, "No, I can't take it, mate." So then, long story short, I end up leaving there because I couldn't stay. My visa ran up and out of money. So I ended up back in Mugger River, you know. So
What year is this?
this was in 78.
Right.
Yeah.
How old were you?
18, maybe 19.
Yeah.
18 to 19, something like that. Yeah.
What got you traveling in the first place? Why did you want to go to Bali and then India?
Surfing.
Just for surfing?
Yeah.
There's surfing in India as well?
Yeah. On the west coast in Kerala.
Yeah.
Really good surf all down there.
Okay.
Yeah. I used to go surfing off Kerala, off the main beach there. What's the main beach there? Kovalam Beach.
Mm-hmm.
And the Indians would row out in their boat, and they would sit there and yell at me, said I wasn't allowed to walk on water. He said, you have to take your bed in. No surfing on your bed. I just ignored him, just kept going. So I end up back in Mugger River. So the very next day we're going for a surf, you know, in the morning, you know. So this is like dark. We get up at 4 o'clock and we go surfing, you know.
Jeez.
Yeah. So I opened the door. It was like we had a group car that we owned together, you know, and hopped in the back seat, and I put my hand down on the back seat, and it was a book there, you know. It was a book, you know, and then I couldn't quite see it. And I hopped in the car and I picked the book up, and it was the Bhagavad Gita. It was exactly the same book they were trying to give me in Nepal, and I said no. So Krishna had somehow or another managed to, you know, the power of Srila Prabhupada's books manifested there. And I asked my mate Jack Rowe, I said, oh, how the hell did that book, how did that, you know, get there? And he said, oh, my brother gave it to me, and he said, I just tossed it in the back. It's been waiting for you. So I pick it up and I go, oh, okay, I better read this.
Wow. Wow.
So then I...
Did you end up taking that copy on the plane from Nepal?
No.
Okay.
Didn't take it, no, because it was...
Even though they got angry at you?
Yeah. Yeah, I said, no, forget it.
Yeah.
It's too much,
Yeah.
because I was still traveling. I was going to Burma and different places and didn't want to cut it around,
Yeah.
So then I pick it up and then
Yeah.
I start reading it in between having bong sessions, and then I would come out and we came out to the guys and I read it, and Krishna would say something, I come out and I stick my head out and see who's out there, and I walk out, this is what Krishna says, and they all start chucking stuff. And they were getting angrier and angrier, so after some time of reading, I'm thinking, oh, okay, I can't stay here, I have to do something about it, because I met the devotees.
Right.
They seem nice,
Wow.
and so once I read the Bhagavad Gita, it all fell into place. It was like,
wow.
So then, so at that time I had a girlfriend, and she lived in Adelaide, so decided I'll drive to Perth and see if there's any Hari temples up there. We didn't have like internet and stuff like that in those days. Didn't exist,
Yeah.
It was just you just winging a prayer, drove to Perth, no devotees there, and then I thought, oh well, Adelaide's the next place because that's where she's from. So I drove to Adelaide, and then basically drove to Adelaide, and then found out there was a temple in Frome Street, and started doing service there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, washing the pots, picking the flowers up. Yeah, and in those days I was chanting 32 rounds a day.
Wow.
They tricked me because they said, twice is one round, going back and forth.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and I could never work out. I would be working my butt off all day, and I used to say, "How come you finish the round so quickly?"
Yeah.
And they said, "Oh, we're quick chanters or something like this." As soon as I found out I was 16, it was boom back down. So so that's where basically first doing some service. But because it was a voluntary, and I was just at that time I just had my girlfriend had a baby, my first child, and I was living at unfortunately my wife's parents' house, and that was hell because they were meat eaters. And then
you were 19, 20 at this time, or?
Yeah, 20, something like that, 20. And then and they hated me because all I did is I disappeared in the morning, and then come back at lunchtime, and and then if I wasn't at the temple, I was down the coast surfing somewhere. Yeah. So they hated me.
This is in Adelaide.
Yeah, I thought I was a complete loser.
Yeah.
And probably right.
Yeah.
Not quite a loser. Somehow I became a devotee.
Yeah.
So then somehow or another...
Did your wife knew you were going to the temple and stuff?
Yeah, she was fine, yeah. She
wasn't interested herself that much?
Wasn't interested in that.
Yeah.
So then somehow or another, after working my butt off for Kripakara in Adelaide Temple, and then Kripakara fried me out once. My beads broke once, and I went. He said, where can I get some beads? I said, I go up to the main office, So I go up to the office, and I asked Kripakara, I said, my beads are broke. Can I get some beads? And he opens this huge chest. The old days it was like they had those old
trunks.
Yeah, the old trunks, and it was like the chock-a-block full of chanting beads.
Wow.
And opens it up. It's like a treasure chest, and he hands it to me, and he goes, $20 or something, And I look at him and I go, come on, mate, I'm working for nothing, driving hours, half a day, most of the day, and you want to charge me $20 at something costs you $2 or a buck.
Probably less.
Yeah, and I said, stick it up your bum, mate.
Yeah. You said that?
Yeah, basically. I said, see you later.
Yeah.
Such a tightwad,
Yeah.
I'm not working for this guy.
Yeah.
So, so then the very day I got back, a mate from Sydney rang up, said, I'm going overseas, can you come back and manage my business? I said, yeah, I'll be there tomorrow. So got in the car and said, we're leaving. Drove to Sydney and...
With your wife?
Yep.
Okay.
Got a place, and so then that was in Newport in Sydney, and so the closest temple was in the Cross, which is an hour and 15 minutes
Right.
because it's right on the peninsula.
Yeah.
I used to drive to the Sunday feast to the cross,
Ah.
and that was where I used to go and on the Sunday feast, and that was the days when it was pretty vibrant in the 80s, early 80s.
Yeah.
And then eventually devotee asked me to join up, which was Karshna, and he was opening a preaching centre in Manly. So I said yes. I was the first guy to join up to that temple.
Wow.
Yeah, him and his wife, Jennifer Madhav and Karshna. And then eventually we, from that temple, we end up opening North Sydney Temple.
Okay.
Yeah, a couple of years later, 2 or 3 years later, because the neighbours got all angry because we were, so many cars in Kirtan, and we were in a suburban house, and they dobbed us in to the council, and always the council coming around.
Yeah.
So we ended up moving out of that and going to setting up North Sydney. So that's my story.
How did you get the Lakshmi to set up North Sydney? Just books and.
Yeah, we used to do Sankirtan paintings.
Right. All right. Yeah.
I had a business. I had a gardening business, and I was an artist, so I sell my art and gardening business. And then once Karshna said, "Oh, why don't you come out and try and sell these paintings?" And the Hong Kong paintings. You never seen them?
Maybe I have.
We used to sell Hong Kong paintings.
Right.
I said, "Who's going to buy these pieces of crap?" He goes, "I'll just go out and have a go." I said, "All right, okay." So I go out, and we went. I knew the ritzy areas in Sydney, so I went with Jennifer Mudder, and she went off, knocking on doors, and I just waited, and I saw a couple of gay guys turn up in their Merc, open top Merc,
Right.
and he said, "Oh, you want to look at some paintings?" And they go, "Yeah, coming down." I went down this inclinator to this private beach, and rolled them out, and they went crazy over it. They bought about $1,000 worth of paintings in about 5 minutes flat, and then I thought, "Oh, that was pretty easy." They rolled it up, and I got in the car and I went looking for Jennifer Mudder, and I just waved, said, "Come on, let's go." And she goes, "What are you doing? We just got here." So that's it, I'm done. So we drive back, and then Kashi goes, "What are you guys doing back?" And I said, we said, I said it, and I pulled the money out. I said, "Do you want this?" "You don't want it?" And then I give it to him, and then he goes, "I'm selling your businesses today." And that was it. Somehow or another, he sold the businesses, extracted the money out of me.
Wow.
And then I was a full-time Sankirtan devotee.
Wow. Chai.
Yeah, and then when we got North Sydney, I promised her pay for it was $2,000 a week rent.
Wow.
So I promised to bring that in to pay the because it was only a few of us when we started, like half a dozen of us.
Was Rupa there as well?
He came later.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah. So I used to basically go out to 9 o'clock at night, just trying to get the money to pay for the temple.
Wow. What was your, I don't know if you have time, but your craziest story where you got like beat up or something?
Craziest story? I got a lot of crazy stories.
Yeah. One crazy story.
It's too many. It wouldn't be allowed to have it on the thing. It'd be X-rated.
Okay. We'll have it for next time.
That's for my book when it comes out.
Yeah.
Yeah. Boys beware.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. I think we'll wrap it up. We're 20 minutes or something now, I think, nearly.
Yeah, I've talked enough.
There's never enough. I think we could go much longer. But yeah.
You ready for part 2 later on?
I think so, for sure. One day.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thanks for talking to me.
Thank you.
And listening.
Thanks for sharing. It's my pleasure.
Okay. Over.